Hello there, everyone. If you are watching this video, then you are part of the TTOR army, an army that is building itself up one subscriber at a time. And if you're wondering why I'm not my usual enthusiastic self here on this intro, it's because yesterday was a pretty dark day in American politics, a really dark day in conservative politics, a really dark day for the general at-large Christian community, and a really dark day for a lot of the people at my own church that I work at. Because yesterday, at the time of this recording, Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA, one of the popular Christian/conservative influencers who actually is associated with Donald Trump, he was assassinated yesterday during one of his Change My Mind events on a college campus. That is not a parody, that is not a joke, this is 100% serious. A family was just torn apart. An entire world of people who worked together, centered around this man, was torn apart. Churches around the country that were affiliated in any way with Turning Point USA was torn apart yesterday. All because Charlie Kirk had wrongthink. So let's get into the actual news. As you can see here on screen, I have an AP News article titled "Conservative Activist Charlie Kirk Assassinated at Utah University." And we're going to get into the actual article so we know the general event that happened. Charlie Kirk, a conservative activist and close ally of President Donald Trump who played an influential role in rallying young Republican voters, was shot and killed Wednesday at a Utah college event in what the governor called a political assassination carried out from a rooftop. "This is a dark day for our state. It's a tragic day for our nation," said Utah Governor Spencer Cox. "I want to be very clear, this is a political assassination." No suspect was in custody late Wednesday, though authorities were searching for a new person of interest, according to a law enforcement official familiar with the matter who was not authorized to discuss the situation by name and spoke on condition of anonymity. Two people were detained earlier in the day, but neither was determined to have had any connection to the shooting, and both have been released, Utah public safety officials said. Authorities did not immediately identify a motive, but the circumstances of the shooting drew renewed attention to an escalating threat of political violence in the United States that, in the last several years, has cut across the ideological spectrum. The assassination drew bipartisan condemnation, but a national reckoning over ways to prevent political grievances from manifesting as deadly violence seemed elusive. Videos posted to social media from Utah Valley University showed Kirk speaking into a handheld microphone while sitting under a white tent emblazoned with the slogans, "The American Comeback" and "Prove Me Wrong." A single shot rings out and Kirk can be seen reaching up with his right hand as a large volume of blood gushes from the left side of his neck. Stunned spectators are heard gasping and screaming before people start to run away. The Associated Press was able to confirm the videos were taken at Sorensen Center Courtyard on the Utah Valley University campus. Kirk was speaking at a debate hosted by this nonprofit political organization. Immediately before the shooting, Kirk was taking questions from an audience member about mass shootings and gun violence. "Do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years? The person asked. Kirk responded, "Too many." "Amen, brother." The questioner followed up, "Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? "Counting or not counting gang violence?" Kirk asked. Then a single shot rang out. The shooter, who Cox pledged would be held accountable in a state with the death penalty, wore dark clothing and fired from a building roof some distance away to the courtyard where the event took place. So, that's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. Charlie Kirk was doing one of his Change My Mind open-air discussions with college students at Utah Valley University, and he was literally in the middle of discussing with someone the topic of all the transgender mass shooters and school shooters that have been emerging in recent years. And as they were in the middle of that conversation, A single shot rang out, presumably from some kind of long-range sniper-type weapon, and Charlie Kirk was shot through the neck. And in the video of the incident, which I actually have seen myself on Twitter, he literally fell backwards and was putting his hand towards his neck, and he had blood just gushing out the other side. I was told by my pastor, who has connections with people close to the Kirk family, that he had expired long before they officially announced it. But it was officially announced on Donald Trump's Truth Social account, where he said, "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife Erica and family. Charlie, we love you." But Trump did more than just make a social media post. The current president of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, put out this on the White House website, honoring the memory of Charlie Kirk, dated for September 10th. By the President of the United States, a proclamation. As a mark of respect for the memory of Charlie Kirk, by the authority vested in me as President of the United States by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, I hereby order that the flag of the United States shall be flown at half-staff at the White House and upon all public buildings and grounds, at all military posts and naval stations, and on all naval vessels of the federal government in the District of Columbia and throughout the United States and its territories and possessions until sunset, September 14th, 2025. I also direct that the flag shall be flown at half-staff for the same length of time at all United States embassies, legations, consular offices, and other facilities abroad, including all military facilities and naval vessels and stations. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand this 10th day of September in the year of our Lord 2025, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 250th. Donald J. Trump. But aside from getting a call out and a special proclamation made by the President of the United States, other people decided to throw in their 10 cents on Charlie Kirk's assassination. Christian apologist and popular YouTuber Dr. David Wood said, "I'll go ahead and say it. I would be honored to die the way Charlie Kirk died. As nice as it would be to die as a 98-year-old surrounded by my great-grandkids, getting shot in the throat for trying to save my country from destruction is a noble way to depart." And I would agree with Dr. David Wood, because Charlie Kirk died as he lived, having open-air discussions with the youth of our nation, college students, trying to have a discussion back and forth to understand them, and then to try to deconvert them from their leftist atheistic worldview and try to convert them to a conservative Christian worldview. Charlie Kirk was doing that all this time. He did it literally all the way up until the point the bullet entered through his neck. So he died the way he lived, and the way he lived was noble. So I agree with David Wood's sentiment on this. One of my internet associates, Darwin to Jesus, who I've done several live stream collaborations with in the past, said this: "It's hard to comprehend the injustice of this, that his children are suddenly without their father, that his wife is now a widow. That fact that demons are manifesting to celebrate this horror shows just how effective he was. They might be gloating today, but in the end, good will triumph over evil. May God be with his family, and may this evil act be turned into good. Rest in peace with the Lord, Charlie Kirk." And then he shares the picture of Charlie Kirk and his family that's been circulating around social media like wildfire since Charlie Kirk's assassination. And he is not lying about how the demons are manifesting to celebrate this horror. Because if you go just perusing through X, perusing through social media in general, leftists all over the internet, many leftists all over the internet, are actually celebrating what happened to Charlie Kirk. They're gloating about it. They're rubbing it in his face post-mortem. And this is happening even among members of Congress, apparently, which I have not confirmed with my own eyes, but I have confirmed what the leftists on the internet are doing, and those kind of people do sit in some of our seats of Congress, so I can believe that that's happening. And then a guy named Mr. Patel said in response to a Matt Walsh tweet, "This attempt to suppress Charlie's voice and his thoughts will fail. Charlie's voice is echoing in every home in America today." And he shows a picture of a tweet that Charlie Kirk made apparently back in 2013, if I'm reading this right. And in this post, Charlie Kirk said, "Good men must die, but death can't kill their names." And I would say that that is true, especially when you consider how popular Charlie Kirk is, or was, I should say. His Twitter account has over 5.4 million followers. His Instagram account has 9 million followers. His YouTube channel, I'm pretty sure, has like 3.8, 4 million subscribers, somewhere in there. This is a guy who was incredibly popular by social media standards, and he's popular enough that he is able to actually make associations with Donald Trump, to the point where Trump would actually honor his memory from his official post as president on the official White House website. So this was a very popular, very important man, regardless of whatever flaws that he may have had. I know that back in either 2019 or 2020, I actually did a video about Charlie Kirk, how back then he actually weaponized Twitter's DMCA system to take down some posts by Nick Fuentes, pointing out how Charlie Kirk was being hypocritical on certain things back then. I put that video out back then, and that's the only video I've ever made about Charlie Kirk. And as I think about that today, following his death, I feel bad about that. Because I have seen lots of people criticize Charlie Kirk over the years for being hypocritical regarding certain position changes over time, and for basically being a grifter is one accusation that a lot of people have thrown at him. But the main thing that people are condemning him for today, post-death, is that they do not like his position on affirmative action. Now, if you must know, basically Charlie Kirk, when talking about affirmative action, some of the more recent things that he's known for saying is that a lot of people who are black, who are in positions of authority and power that they shouldn't be in because they lack the merit, he basically said that they shouldn't be there. And then he once made a comment how if he saw that he had a black pilot flying his plane, that he would actually hope to himself that the guy was actually qualified to be there. And people take that as, oh, Charlie Kirk is a horrible bigot and a racist. Well, affirmative action itself is racist. If you don't know what affirmative action is, it's basically this. I'll give you a couple of examples. If you have a man and a woman who are applying for the same job, and the man is more skilled and qualified for the job than the woman is, affirmative action says you hire the woman because she's part of a protected class of people, and therefore she should get the job over the guy, even though she's less qualified because she's part of a protected class and he is not. Or, to put a different example, you have a black guy and a white guy applying for the same job. The white guy is more qualified and has more skills for the job than the black guy does. But because the black guy is part of a protected minority, he gets hired for the job even though he is less skilled and qualified than the other guy. The hiring is made based on the race of the person. There's also another example you could give. If you have a transgender person and a non-transgender person, a normal person, applying for the same job, and the normal person is more qualified and has better skills for the job than the trans person does, you hire the trans person because the trans person is part of a protected minority. You guys getting the picture here? Affirmative action basically says that these people in these protected minority groups should be preferred and they should be hired over people who are not part of these minority groups, not because they're actually more skilled and qualified. No. It's because of their skin color, or their sexual preference, or whether or not they decide they want to mutilate their bodies to pretend to be the other gender. That is what makes them more hireable, more qualified to be hired for jobs than other people who aren't part of those groups and who are actually more qualified for those jobs. The whole affirmative action policy is racist in its concept, and because Charlie Kirk opposed affirmative action, this proves that he is actually not a racist and he actually condemns racism. So, those who advocate for affirmative action decided to slander Charlie Kirk's name by projecting themselves onto him and accusing him of being the racist bigot. Now, this assassination of Charlie Kirk has been devastating to many people, has affected many lives, including a lot of the people who I work with and go to church with. But some people are actually considering switching away from being a leftist because of events like this. Shoe on Head, in a recent post that she did on X/Twitter, said this long rambling tweet. I'm going to read it, but this is what it says. These last 2 weeks have completely black-pilled me on the left. Even after 10 years of covering their antics, woke slop, etc., I am not leaving the left. I still have all my economic left positions. I am quintessentially a 2015 Bernie bro, a Huey Long disciple for strong social safety nets, workers' rights, etc. That hasn't changed and has only gotten stronger with time. I side with them on things like Israel and war in general, but is that even what the left is nowadays? I don't know. Looking around socially, personally, on a human level, if this is what the left is, I am not left. For the first time in a decade, I truly do not want to be grouped in with these people. It is now very clear we live in completely different realities with different morals. From the insane, bizarre reaction to the murder of an innocent woman on a train reflexively getting madder about people being mad about it than the actual murder, dismissing people's very real concerns about a dying, decaying society to, well, that's just living in a city, chud. Car accidents are more common, to celebrating the gruesome murder of a husband, father, just a guy, not a politician, not a CEO, a effing guy, for having normie-con, campus conservative, co-worker politics, for the crime of not being a liberal, not believing in the current thing. It is clear how they reacted about Charlie is how they would react about me, my friends, my family, any of you, your friends, your family that have ever stepped out of line of the nebulous, ever-changing definition of progressive. Anyone who has ever been called a Nazi for the stupidest censored in the last 10 plus years. Charlie was staunchly right-wing, but remember, none of you are pure enough. Many things have made me feel this way over the years. DNC effing Bernie twice, COVID lockdowns, trucker protest, being lied to about Kyle Rittenhouse and believing it like a moron, drag kid censored, being gaslit with the Balsigia drama, realizing adults should be able to do what they want is becoming a fascist belief, the bike Karen lie, how they want Daniel Penny's head for doing the exact same community policing they talked about wanting. I can go on. But this week in particular has been eye-opening. Posting videos and pictures of Charlie's wife and young kids will not move them because they cannot relate and never will. They are atomized bug people who hate their families and themselves, the unfortunate product of modern society. They are miserable, evil human beings, and I owe many people many apologies for ever thinking otherwise. Maybe I will calm down, but I couldn't sleep. But I am absolutely demoralized and black-pilled beyond belief. I do not want my child growing up in a world like this. Sick, evil, censored. And that sentiment is shared by a lot of people, Shoe on Head. You are not alone in feeling that way. The left has become so deranged over the last many years, really the last decade. And now it's gotten to a point where they're okay with assassinating their political opponents and then celebrating about it on social media like their favorite football team just scored their 7th touchdown of the game. These people are sick and depraved, and I do not blame Shoe on Head whatsoever for saying, you know what, I don't want to identify as a leftist anymore because of these freaks. I don't blame her at all. It took Charlie Kirk getting assassinated yesterday in the way he did for her to finally have this epiphany and post it on the internet for all to see and read. And hopefully she never deletes this post because there's a lot of truth to it and people need to read this. I'll have the link to it in the comments section down below. But as you guys can see, what happened yesterday was truly awful. Charlie Kirk did not deserve to go the way he did. He was a conservative Christian man with a family, a young wife, small children who are now going to grow up without a father, a young wife who's now a widow, and he was literally assassinated for his beliefs, for his worldview, for daring to commit the thought crime of trying to engage our nation's youth and converting them to the conservative Christian worldview and deconvert them away from being atheist Democrats. I know there are some people who actually posit the theory that the Israeli intelligence community is behind the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and I will be dealing with that nonsense in a separate video. But the fact of the matter is, Charlie Kirk was assassinated for who he is and what he did. He was a normie Christian conservative man who just happened to be extremely popular on social media and who happened to have ties with Donald Trump, our current president. And he was part of a successful effort to basically help our nation's youth go from being leftist Democrats to being GOP Republicans. He played a large role in that, and his grand prize for doing so was to be assassinated at one of his own events. As I bring this video to a close, I just want you guys to know that we cannot forget Charlie Kirk. Whatever flaws he has, whatever bad things that he's done in his life, whatever hypocritical, authoritarian things he may have done in the past, whatever kind of flip-flopping that he seems to have made over time, none of that stuff is worthy of being publicly assassinated in the way that he was. He did not deserve this. He did not deserve any of this. And so we cannot forget Charlie Kirk. And don't listen to those idiots on the internet who are telling you, well, we need to become the racist monsters they always accuse us of being because of what they did to Charlie Kirk. Do not do that. Do not do that. Charlie Kirk himself, if he were alive today, would be the first one to tell you, do not do that. And so I'm asking you guys who are watching this, if you're a Bible-believing Christian, do not get angry. Do not get upset too much over this. It's okay to mourn. It's okay to be sad if you truly feel that way. But do not get black-pilled. Do not get tempted to go down the dark path because of what happened. Charlie Kirk himself would tell you the same thing. And the reason why you as a Bible-believing Christian should not do this is because vengeance belongs to the Lord. And the Lord has also made it clear that in the end times, in the last days, Christians like Charlie Kirk, like you and me, we are going to be persecuted. We are going to be killed and hunted down like dogs. And people who do it will even think they're doing the Lord's work while they do it. So that's the reality if you're a Bible-believing Christian. And we should let the example of Charlie Kirk steer us down that path. He may have been assassinated, but he was assassinated while doing the very thing that he had been doing for years. Doing honest, good work and trying to help educate and inform our nation's youth and trying to steer them away from that dark satanic path. That's what Charlie Kirk's legacy is. That's literally what he was in the middle of doing when he was assassinated. So do not forget Charlie Kirk. Do not forget what he stood for. And even though he had flaws, do your best to forgive them.